Okay, so I told you on the last part that Babcock, they show her she's killed her mother and she killed her stepfather. That is how she wound up in prison on death row. Okay, so Clark actually gets Brad to take to Amy. He goes and gets her for Dr. Sykes. Dr. Sykes meets Brad in the hallway on the way to Amy's room, and he wants to know what's going on and what are they going to do to Amy. And she tells him that there's a flu epidemic and they need Amy's help. Brad tells them that if anything happens to Amy, he will get all of them. He's going to get Dr. Lear, Dr. Sykes, and Dr. Clark. He basically threatens them. So on the way down to Amy's room, Brad reminds Dr. Clark, or not Dr. Clark, Agent Clark, of his daughter's death, because he's trying to figure out why Clark is being so mean and stern and hateful. He wants to remind him, I had a child that died and I could do nothing about it. So you should understand why I'm trying to protect this little girl. Of course, Clark doesn't respond to that at all. Let's see. So Dr. Sykes decides that she should be the one to give the injection to Amy herself. She already has the chip in her body. Amy does. While they're giving her this injection, of course, Brad is in the room with them. Dr. Fanning, who is now a vampire that's in his cell, he actually feels and realizes that something is being done to Amy. So he starts, you could hear him speaking mentally, what are they doing to her? He's asking the little weird guy, the little janitor whose name is Gray. He's in there cleaning up, and he's literally mentally communicating with him, asking what are they doing to little Amy. So now he's trying to manipulate and control the janitor, okay? While the nurse who has come in to check on Amy like that day, Brad is sitting in the room and he steals some substance from the nurse's cart while she's checking Amy's vitals. And Amy also tried to remember the access code that she saw the lady use to get into her room, and she could only remember about 3 of them, which I thought was weird since she's had this injection. She could only remember 3 of those codes. So she tells Brad about Anthony, who she realized the black guy, Anthony, I think his name is Anthony Brown or something, I can't remember, but he's in the room next to her. And she tells Brad that he seems like he's a nice guy. Of course, Brad knows him. Brad is the one that went and got him from prison. So Brad tells her, go ahead and get you some rest because you're obviously sleepy. The girl goes to sleep. Okay. Brad also goes to sleep in her room because he's watching over her. Well, he wakes up the next morning or later on that day to the little weird guy standing up in the room, and he's staring at Amy. Again, the weird guy's name is Mr. Gray or something like that. But he's there actually to warn Brad that Dr. Fanning is after Amy and that he needs to get the little girl out of there. Because when Brad wakes up, it startles him and he grabs him and he wants to know what he's doing in there. And that's when he explains to him, I'm here to warn you. You need to get Amy out of here because Dr. Fanning is after her. So he tells him to meet him later in the restroom or something so that he could tell him where Fanning is. Okay, and he obviously does that. Okay. So all of this stuff is going on, y'all. As you can see, there's a lot of things going on in this particular episode. Okay, so Babcock, throughout this whole time, like I said before, Babcock is still showing Agent Clark what went on in her life. So it's affecting him deeply. He's become all startled and shook up because she's manipulating him. Well, you see Brad talking to Anthony in the hallway during a routine room check. Brad asks about Dr. Fanning, and Anthony tells him that Fanning is in his head and in his dreams. He thinks that Fanning is running the place. He warns Brad to look out and make sure that, he watches his back because Fanning is definitely up to something. So Clark comes up and he wants to talk to Brad at this point. Now, Amy is in the room and she has become very friendly with Anthony. For some reason, she has developed a friendship with him. I don't know why, but she likes him and she sends him a little note that says hi. And of course, he sends her back a little note that says hi as well. So she's happy about that. So she is gaining an ally at this point. Okay, another ally. All right. Then you see Leela, who is Brad's ex-wife. She is actually out in I think she's still in Wisconsin somewhere, but she is actually helping Lacey, who we find out is still alive. Lacey is still alive, but she's helping to keep the promise that Lacey made to Brad to try to find out everything she could on those 12 inmates. That what I did not realize earlier on, these 12 inmates that they are testing at Project Noah, they have told everybody that they were dead. They were supposed to have been dead. They have mysteriously died, according to the public and according to the media, before they were ever able to be executed. That's Babcock, Anthony. Everybody thinks that they're dead. That's how the CDC was able to get them, illegally bring them back to the Project Noah place and test them. But as Leela is calling around to the correction center trying to find out about these people, everybody that answers the phone, once she asks about them, they hang up the phone in her face. Except when she gets to the prison where Shauna Babcock was being held at. Some lady named Darlene answers the phone, and she's reluctant to talk to Leela at first, but after Leela tells her what's going on, she eventually tells her, she says, Babcock is not dead. All right. She says, I knew it was wrong. And she proceeds to tell Leela everything that went on. Okay. She lets her know she didn't die, but she was taken away by some federal agents. So then you see Agent Clark. He wants to know about Babcock too. So he's talking to Brad back at the facility, and he asked him if any of the stuff that he's been seeing in his mind and in his dream is true about Babcock. Brad tells him, yes, it is true. Because see, Brad went and got these inmates. He had been talking to them. He knew a little bit about their past. All right. So he tells him, yeah, it's real. So he knows that this stuff is going on, or this stuff did actually happen to Babcock. So Brad starts to notice that Clark is breaking down too. He notices that he's coming undone. He sees that he's really nervous, and he asks Clark about Fanning. He wants to know what the injection is that they gave him, and he wants to know what's going to happen to Amy. But Clark refuses to talk to him and tell him anything. Dr. Fanning sees the little weird guy. His name is Gray, the little janitor. And he asks him about his dreams of Fanning. I'm sorry, not Fanning, but Dr. Lear sees the little gray guy, and he asks him about his dreams. He wants to know when they started, and he tells him they started around the time that they brought the second or third test subject up to the particular hotel, to that intake place. He tells him that Fanning started talking to him real heavy after Babcock showed up. He told Gray that they had work to do. This is what Fanning said. Fanning is wanting to use the little janitor guy to help him get out of the facility, basically. Okay, so then you see Leela. Leela finally catches up to a lady that knows Brad, some reporter. Her name is Sierra. Now, Leela tells Sierra that Brad is still alive because Sierra thought he was dead. And so at this point, she starts to listen. At first, Sierra didn't even want to talk to Leela. She didn't want to have anything to do with this. But as Leela kept talking to her about Brad, she starts to listen to her. And she says, if you've got some evidence, some hardcore evidence, I will check into it and I'll get back with you. All right. So Leela gives her the list of names of the 12 people so that she can check into it. All right. Because they're about to try to get this out to the public. She's going to put a story out about it. So then you see one night Brad runs into little Gray in an elevator. As he snuck out of Amy's room, he goes to try to find out this place where they're holding Fanning and Babcock at. So he catches up to him in an elevator. And while he's in there, he takes the stuff that he stole off of the nurse's cart back when she was checking Amy. He takes it and he injects him with it, which knocks him out. So obviously it's some type of substance that puts people to sleep. And he drags him off to the area where you get into the holding cell, which is heavily secured. And he has to use the little guy's eyes. He has to hold his eyes open because they identify each other, the people, by their eyes and their, So he opens his eyes and he holds him up to the light and he lets it unlock the door for him. Okay. So he walks up while he's in there. It's dark in there. He's got his flashlight and he winds up walking up on Fanning's cell in the dark. And when he shines the flashlight, he sees the hideous face of Dr. Fanning. It scares the living crap out of Brad. And while he's scared, Dr. Lear actually walks up on Brad and he decides he wants to talk to him. So it's obvious that Dr. Lear is going to be an ally to Brad and Amy as well. He doesn't like what's going on. All right. While they're in there, Brad sees all of the inmates that he's brought there. Okay. Dr. Lear tells Brad that they all talk to each other. Brad tells Lear what Gray said about Fanning coming for Amy. Dr. Lear doesn't believe in vampires, which is what Brad thinks that these creatures are. So Dr. Lear notices that Fanning is getting stronger. Every time they inject another subject, he's getting stronger and stronger. And I got a feeling that little Amy is the strongest one of all of them. And when she got injected, that made Dr. Fanning eat that much stronger. That's why he could feel when she was being injected, okay? And Brad says, what do they want? And Dr. Lear tells them they want what everybody else wants. They want to be freed out of that intake facility. And eventually, I believe that that's what's going to happen. Let me hurry up. So again, like I told you, as it turns out, Lacey isn't dead. She's holed up in a hotel room where her and Leela have been staying. She's recovering from her gunshot wounds, but she won't take her medication, her pain meds, because she feels like they numb her, and she does not want to be numb because she wants to remember the anger that she had for the people that shot her. She wants revenge on these people. So they start gassing Babcock. They take her through the process of getting to kill her. They start gassing her, and they shine lights on her. She's about to die. She's literally about to burn up under the light that they put on her, okay? But while they're doing this, Clark is seeing all of this stuff where she's telling him about her mom and how she killed her mama because her mom's husband had been molesting her. And all of this stuff that he's seeing, it forces him, I guess, to feel sorry for Babcock. And he calls off the torture. He stops the little dude from burning her up. She was about to die, but he stopped it, okay? And I guess he felt bad for her, okay? So that very same night, Brad goes back to Amy's room to go back to sleep. This time, he dreams about Dr. Fanning. Dr. Fanning, in his dream, warns Brad to stay out of his way. Don't get in my way. And basically letting him know, I'm going to get you if you do. And he turns into this monster, and it scares Brad, and Brad wakes up. So this whole episode, I know that was a little fast, y'all, because there's so much going on up in here. Like I said, this whole episode was about Babcock and her backstory and how she wound up in prison. You find out everything about her, and I got a feeling they're going to do that with all of not all the inmates, but the Anthony guy, all the key characters in here, they're going to do that with them. You find out, of course, that like I said, that Lacey is still alive, which is a good thing. She's going to have to help him. So yeah, it's to me, it's pretty good. They pack a lot of information into it, but it's good. Everything in here is good, and it's worth watching. It's really heavy. Certain parts of it kind of reminds me of American Horror Stories, especially when they do the flashbacks. And I really like American Horror Stories. I haven't reviewed it, but I have seen every single episode. I actually binge watched American Horror Stories about a year and a half ago. I started binge watching them when my mother told me that they were pretty interesting. They're a little gross. There's a lot of stuff in there that kind of grosses me out. But the storyline, Ryan Murphy, his writing is impeccable. Him and the other guy, I can't think of his name. But I am crazy for a great storyline. In this particular show, The Passage has a really good storyline. There are some faux pas in the script, of course. There are some areas of improvement that need to happen. But overall, it's a very good show. It's a very interesting show. And that oftentimes happens when you're trying to pack a novel or a series of novels into a television show. A lot of things get lost in translation. So anyway, I know I was rambling. I just want you to know that this overall episode was a good one. You find out that all the key people, the important people, are still alive, and that you see that there's an opposition. There are teams that are forming, it appears. You got Amy's side, and then you're going to have Fanning's side. And I believe Amy is going to have to be the one, as she grows up, she's going to have to be the one that probably, I don't know, I'm assuming, to defeat these monsters. She's a key player in this whole situation. I just don't know how far her role is going to go in this series, okay? Because, of course, I haven't read the book. So, anyway, without further ado, that's enough. Thank you for listening. I'm going to try to tighten up, and I'm going to try to shorten up these recordings and these videos and just keep the main thing. I have a hard time not being detailed, but I'm going to work on that, y'all. All right, y'all, take care. Bye-bye.